Hello! I have an absolutely massive book haul to share today. It's been my birthday. It's actually been a few months. This is over a good few months. I think at least March, April, May, and a tiny bit of June. So I don't feel too bad. I just love buying books. I'm not even going to say sorry. I'm not even going to do a disclaimer. I just love buying books, and I've been really lucky. I've been gifted a lot for my birthday. A lot of these are secondhand from charity shops or secondhand bookshops. So lock in. We are going to go through a hell of books. Where shall I start, actually? Let's start with my birthday books because they are the ones I've been so excited for, and I feel very lucky that my friends and family have gifted them to me. So let's go. So we'll start with the books my husband got me. He got me book vouchers for my birthday. So he just made little vouchers saying this voucher entitles you to one book. He got me 2 book vouchers, but I ended up with 5 books, and I'm not really sure how that happened. I think he was just feeling very generous the day we were in the bookshops. I got Women Seated by Zhang Yuren, which is translated by Jeremy Tiang. I think this is a Chinese translation. It sounds like it's about a really rich family that have a nanny. When the family becomes the subject of a government investigation and their fortunes crumble, the nanny is left to make a series of life-changing choices. How far will she go to claim her due? And it's a great cover, so I picked that up. We then have In Late Summer by Magdalena Blasvek, which is translated by Andelka Ragu. I picked this up because it is from a publisher called Linden Editions, which I had never seen or heard of before. It looked like it had quite a lot of translated stories, which I love a publisher who publishes a lot of translations. So I thought I'd give it a go. I thought it sounded really interesting. It's set in the Bosnian countryside. It says a moving portrait of a family, a village, and a young girl, which combines heart-stopping beauty and brutal violence. And then speaking of new publishers, I discovered Akoya Publishing, which is a fairly new publishing press. And I got 3 books by them because I loved their covers. I mean, look at these. They also publish a lot of translated works, and I've already read one of these since I bought it. This is You Glow in the Dark by Liliana Kalanzi, which is translated by Chris Andrews. This is a Bolivian author, and I hadn't read anything from Bolivia for my Read Around the World challenge. So I picked this up on my commute a couple of weeks ago, and I loved it. This is like a bunch of short stories, all sort of surrounding elements of like environmental catastrophe, settings in the future based around things like nuclear collapse. And there's the last story in this book has really stuck with me. It's about a radioactive event that was a true story, but obviously has been fabricated slightly in here. But it was just very, very cool, very interesting, kind of a mix of gothic horror and like cyberpunk, which is really interesting. But I really loved it, and I'm hoping Liliana Kalanzi gets some more things published in English because I would love to read some more of her work. So I loved this one. I haven't picked up the other 2, but we have They by Hel or Heli Heli. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's translated by Martin Eichen. This is set in Denmark. It sounds like it's focused on a mother-daughter relationship where the mother gets some sort of illness or diagnosis. And then finally, I got The Oldest Bitch Alive by Morgan Day. So this was actually kind of a funny pickup because it was a birthday trip for my 30th birthday. We were making a lot of jokes about how I'm really old now. My family were calling me a hag. We kept finding hag stones at the beach and they were calling them Hannah stones. So that was sort of the ongoing joke of the trip. And so buying a book called The Oldest Bitch Alive just seemed like it had to happen. But this also does sound really interesting. Ardent, juicy, brainy, filthy, massive celebratory book about how a bulldog and some worms navigate the cosmos. That sounds so interesting, so I'm really excited for this one too. We then move on to books I got from my sister. So my sister bought me 30 gifts for my 30th birthday, which is kind of crazy, but also very kind, very fun. Although I do think she did it because she knows that now I have to get her 30 gifts for her 30th birthday. So I don't know how altruistic it was, but I got a lot of books. So I'm very thankful. A lot of these I have read, and they were ones I didn't have on my bookshelf but had enjoyed when I read them. So it's really exciting to have them now on my bookshelf. So to start off, we have Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, which is translated by Anton Her. I love Bora Chung. I have enjoyed every book of hers I've read. This is a collection of short stories. I remember loving it. It says it blurs the line between magical realism, horror and sci-fi, using elements of the fantastic and surreal to address the very real horrors and cruelties of patriarchy and capitalism in modern society. And I will just happily read anything this author writes. So very happy to have a copy of that. We also have Killing Stella by Marlon Haushofer, which is translated by Sean Whiteside. The Wall by Marlon Haushofer is one of my favourite books of all time. So I've been wanting to read her other English translations. And this is a really short, like almost novella about a woman who is forced to take in a friend's daughter called Stella. And it is, I don't want to say too much because it's so short, like you're going to give away the whole plot if I tell you what happens. But it's very much, I would say, a horror. I found it very claustrophobic. I found it very sort of chilling and unsettling to read. Our narrator is very cold and detached. And it was very interesting, very dark, but a really interesting novella. I really enjoyed it. And I want to read more of this author, so that is exciting. We then have My Husband by Maud Ventura, which is translated by Emma Ramadan. This, I remember thinking I sped through when I read it. It's about a woman who has the perfect life. She has a husband and 2 children. They have a beautiful house. Everyone thinks they are the perfect couple. But she is obsessed with her husband. No matter how much time passes, she can't sort of relax. She's so obsessed with him that she constantly has to test him to see if he loves her as much as she loves him. We love a crazy, obsessive female narrator. I don't remember much of this one. Sad Janet by Lucy Britch. I read this again quite a while ago, but I remember enjoying it at the time. I think it's a woman versus the void situation. So we have quite a lonely, depressed female main character. She works at a dog shelter. She prefers dogs to humans, which is relatable. One day, a doctor offers her a pill that promises one day off from being sad. And so she starts to experiment with happiness. I'd love to reread this. Another one I read a really long time ago and want to reread, which is why it's exciting to have a copy, is The Odyssey by Lara Williams. This is about a woman who works on a cruise ship. In fact, she spent years working on a cruise ship. I guess she lives in this sort of liminal space. But then the ship's captain chooses her out of thousands of employees to enter a special secret club. All he asks in return is total cooperation. And I remember it being quite funny, but in sort of a dark way, kind of a satire, kind of a bit of a workplace novel. So I'm excited to reread this one as well. We then have a favourite of mine. I read it last year, loved it. This is Sky Daddy by Kate I read it this year. This is Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. This is about a woman who is sexually attracted to planes. That is sort of the heading. And it delivers on that. It is very much about that. It's very weird. It's very funny. But also at the same time, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of heart in this. It's about a woman trying to just live her life. And she might not be the most ordinary person. But low-key, by the end of it, I wanted to be her friend, even if she's kind of crazy. So a real win for me. Wonderfully weird. We then have Hunchback by Sawa Ichikawa, which is translated by Polly Barton. This was everywhere when it came out, and I read it digitally and really enjoyed it. So having a copy is lovely again, like most of these. This is about a woman who is physically disabled. She has, I think, a muscle disorder, which means she can't move much. She's kind of trapped in her bed, basically. So she spends most of her time on the internet, and she writes stories on the internet, and often they're sort of erotic stories. She finds that she enjoys being like this darker side of herself on the internet. And then one day, one of her carers reveals that he's seen everything she's posted online and read it, and things sort of spiral from there. It was nice to see that sort of representation, because I think in a lot of stories, people's disabilities are seen as unable to have that side of them. And obviously that's not true. So this was a really sort of memorable story. We then have the only one that my sister got me that I haven't read yet, which is Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. I'm really interested in this. I also really want to read her other book, Wild Dog Shore. I've heard great things about both of them, but I just haven't picked them up yet. Editing Hannah here to say that I have since read Wild Dog Shore, and I absolutely loved it. One of the best books I've read this year. Loved it so much, so I can't wait to pick up Migrations. I think she writes a lot about nature, and I love nature. I love the environment. I love stories about like climate change and environmental sort of commentary and all that sort of thing. This is about a woman who follows Arctic terns on their final migration to Antarctica. I think it's meant to be quite haunting. It's meant to like mirror her own life in a way. It says it powerfully demonstrates the spiritual and emotional costs of environmental destruction. So maybe not the most lighthearted read, but I'm really interested in it. And like I said, I've heard amazing things. And then finally, we have Bliss Montage by Ling Ma. I loved Severance by this author, and so I picked this up at the time, but I, again, can't really remember much about it. It's a bunch of short stories, which I do find are often less memorable than a novel because you're just in them for such a short amount of time. So this, again, might be another reread for me. It says, it's 8 wildly different tales of people making their way through the madness and reality of our collective delusions, love and loneliness, connection and possession, friendship, motherhood, the idea of home, revealing that the outlandish and the ordinary are shockingly, deceptively, heartbreakingly alike. Another reread for me, but I'm very happy to have on my shelf. And that is everything my sister got me. And then I have one more book that my friends bought me. So I have this ongoing joke with some of my friends that I read weird books, which is just true. Like, it's not really a joke, but I like telling them weird books I've seen and like weird books I've picked up. So, for example, like Sky Daddy or other ones where people turn into animals or those sort of things. And one time we were talking about a woman in a relationship with a door in a book, and they bought it me for my birthday. So this is a very funny gift. It's Unhinged by Vera Valentine. And like I said, it's about a woman who is in a relationship with her front door. Absolutely bonkers, but low-key, I'm definitely going to read this, and I'm definitely going to add it to my reading challenge for this year. So no judgment here. I'm going to read it. I'll probably enjoy it. So next up, similarly on the vein of birthday books, I'll finish off my birthday books first. I got a few Waterstones gift vouchers from a couple of my friends. So I went to spend those actually 2 days ago. So these are just getting included in this. I have another gift voucher from my sister-in-law and her family for our favourite local independent bookshop, but I haven't spent that yet. So that'll just have to be added another time. But with these Waterstones vouchers, I picked up The Hounding by Ano Purvis. That's definitely not right, but I've been wanting to read this for so long. I've been waiting for it to come out in paperback. It's about 5 sisters who the whole village thinks are strange, and I think they turn into dogs. And I love books that sort of have that metaphor of female rage, especially in young girls. I just think young female childhood and experience in coming of age is one of my favourite topics to read about, and especially if they're going to turn into dogs. That sounds so good. So I'm really excited for this one. I also decided I wanted to get into poetry. I never read poetry. It's really not my thing that I gravitate towards. But 2 of my favourite poems of all time are Wild Geese by Mary Oliver and The Orange by Wendy Cope. I know they're not like, that's not revolutionary. Loads of people love those poems, but I do really love them. And so I thought with my vouchers, I'd pick up some of their poetry. So I picked up Blue Horses by Mary Oliver. They only had 2 of her collections, and they didn't have the one with wild geese in, but this one I had a flick through and it looked very nature-based. It says, herons, sparrows, owls and kingfishers flit across the page in meditations on love, artistry and impermanence. And yeah, so I'm really excited to try that one out. And then I managed to get the collected poems of Wendy Cope. So this includes The Orange, but it also includes, I think, everything she's ever written, basically. Oh, it's just started raining. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh no. It's very dark outside. We may get thunder. But yeah, this is huge. Obviously, it's not going to be something I just read in one sitting. But I think I'm just going to dip in and out of it for like however long it takes and just try out some poetry. So I was really excited to get this as well. So that is everything sort of gifted for my birthday. I have bought some books outside of that just for me. I just can't be stopped from buying books, I'm afraid. So these, I think, were a mix of Waterstones and then independent bookshops. I can't remember. Some of them were bought quite a while ago, so I'm not sure. But first we have Earth by Deborah Tompkins. This is a Weatherglass novella, the publisher. And I picked up We Hexed the Moon by Molly Seeley or something like that. I don't have the copy because I've lent it to a friend. But and I loved it. It was like a 5-star for me. So I thought when I saw this and it was sort of the same publisher and the same vibes, I was like, okay, let's give it a go. It sounds like it's about a family who live on Earth, but spelt AERTH instead of owl spelling. And Earth is currently moving into an ice age with a strange virus limiting the population. When the planet Earth is discovered, which is spelt with a U, this is confusing to read out loud, he vows to become an astronaut and travel there. But despite Earth being initially welcoming, he finds it hot, crowded, corrupt and violent. Slowly, Magnus realises he will not find out what he's looking for, but there seems no way back. A story about migration, climate, conspiracy theories and interplanetary homelessness. So that was an immediate win for me. I then picked up Electric Shamans at the Festival of the Sun by Monica Ojeda. This is translated by Sarah Booker. Hell of a cover. This is the UK cover, but the US cover is also beautiful. Enjoyed Monica's other book, which is Jawbone. And this, I think, is perfect for the summer because it's about a music festival in the Andean Mountains. Not that I'm really a festival goer, but reading about a music festival in the summer just seems perfect. It's about 2 girls that go to this 8-day festival on the side of a volcano. And I think it's kind of like midsummer vibes, like weird stuff happens, which again, I love. I think I bought this, I bought this from Hatchetts. I think I bought it from the one in King's or St Pancras in London. Excited for that one. This one I bought from an independent bookshop in the Peak District. So I can't remember what it was called, but I think in my in a vlog I did a few weeks ago, you'll see it. This is Under the Eye of the Big Bird by Hiromi Kawakami, which is translated by Asa Yonida. I think this is about a sort of dystopian world where, so it says humans are on the verge of extinction and have settled in small tribes across the planet under the observation and care of the mothers. Some children are made in factories, some live by getting nutrients from water and light like plants. The survival of the race depends on the interbreeding of these and other alien beings, but it is far from certain that connection, love, reproduction and evolution will persist among the inhabitants of this faltering new world. Again, dystopian vibes, kind of like this Big Brother vibe, a bit culty in that there's like the mothers and sort of future technology and advancements. I just find all that so interesting. So I picked that up. We then have 3 books that I bought ages ago, like literally probably April, maybe even March. We have Discontent by Beatrice Serrano, which is translated by Mara Faye Lathem. This is like a classic workplace novel. I love a weird workplace novel. I have a whole video about them. And this is about a woman who goes on a workplace retreat, sort of a team building workplace retreat. And she sort of spirals and has a breakdown, which, again, relatable. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. I think I've said that about every single book. Like, obviously I am. I wouldn't have bought them if I wasn't. We then have On the Calculation of Volume by Solveig Ballet. This is the 4th installment of this series. So if you haven't read the first one, it's about a woman who wakes up one day and she relives the day yesterday. I think it's like November 17th or something. And she's sort of stuck in time. So everyone else is living it for the first time, but she remembers living it the day before and the day before that and the day before that. And it's very sort of philosophical as well as being sort of thrilling and obviously very thought-provoking. Like, what would you do if you just woke up and you were the only one stuck in this sort of time loop? But yeah, this is book 4. There are 7 in the series. I've loved the first 3 and I'm really excited for the 4th because the third book kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, so I was very excited to pick this up. And finally, we have Hooked by Asako Yuzuki, which is translated again by Polly Barton, another Japanese translation. I read Butter, which again I don't have, but I read it when that came out, and I mean, it wasn't a favourite ever, but I did really enjoy it. So I was excited to pick this up, and I think this is a bit more up my street than Butter was. I think it's about two women that have sort of a toxic friendship, basically. That sounds fun to read about. So I have that one. Oh, I'm getting tired. We still have one stack left, and it's secondhand books. Yeah, I think I'm going to go through these a little bit faster. So we have Supremacy by Parmi Olsen. This is a non-fiction about AI, ChatGPT, all those fun things. Although I am pretty, in most contexts, against AI, I do still find it really interesting. I like technological advances. I'm reading about them, whether that's in sci-fi or in real life, I guess. So I picked this up randomly. It's an ARC, so that's kind of interesting. We then have Bewilderment by Richard Powers. I love the overstory by this author, so when I saw this, I picked it up. I don't actually know what it's about. A young scientist who has found a way to search for life on other planets dozens of light years away. It sounds like it's about a father and son, and it's very emotional. We then have Heartburn by Nora Ephron. I think this is just kind of a classic, following a woman who discovers that her husband is in love with someone else, but she's pregnant, and that sort of roller coaster of emotions. We then have Northwards by Daniel Mason. This just makes me think of a Noah Kahan song. I don't know why. Like, the title sounds like a Noah Kahan song. I think it's based in New England, and it's about nature and landscapes over time and all that sort of stuff. Deep in the woods, blah, blah, blah. Noah Kahan in a book, I think. We then have Swanfolk by Kristin Amarsdottir, which is translated by Vala Thorods. I have read this. It is an Icelandic translation, and it's about a girl who stumbles across a group of people that are half swan and half woman. And that's all I'm going to say. But it's really funny and dark and interesting. We have Three Strong Women by Marie Nadaya, which is translated by John Fletcher. I read The Witch by Marie Nadaya when I was reading the International Booker Prize longlist this year, and it was one of my favourites from the whole longlist. So when I saw this, I picked it up because I want to read some more of her work. We have The Dark Horse by Ruma Godden. I don't know why I picked this up, honestly. I think I was in a National Trust secondhand bookshop, and there was 5 minutes left before it was closing. So I was like, is there anything I'm interested in? So I picked this up. I like the Virago Modern Classics, and I think it sounded interesting. It's about a horse, a racehorse. It just sounded like an interesting story, so why not? Similarly, I picked up Ceilings by Zuzana Brabkova, which is translated by Teresa Vivekanavika. This is from another indie publisher that I had never heard of before. It's called Twisted Spoon Press. It takes place in a mental hospital in Prague where the narrator is undergoing detox treatment for substance abuse. So it sounds a bit like weird. It sounds a bit, like it says, a bit blurry between reality and, I mean, that cover kind of sums that up, basically. I picked up Stoner by John Williams, a classic. I've seen loads of people talking about how good this is recently. So when I saw it again in a National Trust secondhand bookshop, I grabbed it in this vintage Red Spine edition. Another one from a National Trust bookshop is All Our Yesterdays by Natalia Ginsberg. This is translated by Angus Davidson. I've read a few Natalia Ginsbergs. I want to read her whole catalogue over time, but it's not something I'm like rushing to get through. But I picked this one up. Again, I just love her writing. She reminds me of Elena Ferrante, who's one of my favourite authors of all time. Another one to add to the collection. We then have 2 books published by Persephone Books. So this is a publisher in London or based in London at least, that focus on unknown female authors and publishing like female authors that have been sort of lost to history. So I've got 2 of them recently from secondhand bookshops, which is exciting. This is Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winifred Watson. And this is Mariana by Monica Dickens. And then finally, we have, I think this was just a charity shop find, but There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak. I've heard great things about this author, So another one to add to the TBR. And that is everything. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've been talking for about 4 days, but now that these have all been officially book hauled on my channel, I can put them all on my shelves, which is exciting. But otherwise, thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed it.